We have already worked so much with integers. Today we're going to continue working with integers and we're going to focus on adding them. So even though it says the goal is I can add and subtract integers, today we're just going to focus on adding. We're going to add using number lines. So at the end of this, I want you to be able to share how you can use a number line to add integers. Let's do a little bit of reviewing. I really quickly want to talk about your note sheet. If you can print out your note sheet, it's really helpful to handwrite the notes. If you can't print it out, but you could write it down in your notebook, that also is really helpful. But if you are choosing not to do either one of those options and you're doing the digital one, I tried something new this time, 6th graders. And when you click on the images, you should be able to type or draw on them. So when you click on them, they'll take you to the drawing section and you can type what I'm writing, and you can draw what I'm drawing. So when it comes to the number lines, I'm going to be drawing on the number lines. If you double click on them, it'll take you into the drawing feature again. If you go to the select line and you go to the pull down and you go to scribble, you can draw on the number line just like I am writing on my number line. And it might take a little bit to get used to, but it works really nicely. You kind of have to double click when you're all done and then select the arrowhead to get out of the drawing feature there. So that should work on all of the number lines except for the very first number line, because I don't draw on that one at all. I'm just deleting that. This one right here, you don't need to draw on this at all. It's these boxes. But these ones continuing on, you should be able to draw on them. Okay, we've learned a lot, like I said, about integers. So numbers that are to the right of 0, we can call them positive. Numbers to the left of 0, we can call them negative. And if I have the integer -5, I can call this an integer because it's a whole number. Right? So this 5 refers to the distance from 0, right? So it'd be 5 units from 0. And the negative tells you which direction. So if it's a negative, we're going to move to the left. If it's a positive, we're going to move to the right. So that's important as we're working through adding integers. Let's put it in words now. If the symbol is negative, we're going to move to the left. If it's positive, we're going to move to the right on the number line. So for -5, we would move 5 units, right? Because the 5 is referring to the distance, left of 0. And it's left because of the negative. Okay? So right here we have -6 plus 3. We're going to combine those two integers together. So first we have to find -6. If we start at 0, the negative tells me to go the negative direction, and I have to move 6 units from 0. So I'm going to put a dot right on -6. Now I'm going to add 3. This is a positive 3, yes? So if it's a positive, I'm going to move right. So I'm going to take 3 steps to the right from -6. So 1, 2, 3. Where do I end up? I end up at -3. Do you see how the number line is helpful when I'm adding these integers? Let's do the next one. 7 plus a -7. So I start at 0. I need to find 7. This is a positive 7. There doesn't have to be a plus in front of it. Remember, positive is the default. So I'm 7 units in the positive direction away from 0. Put my dot there. Now I'm adding a -7. So this integer that I'm adding has a negative sign in front of it. The negative tells me to move left. How many steps am I going to take left? 7. So from my positive 7, I'm going to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 steps in the negative direction. Where do I end up? I end up at 0. Let's do the next one. We have 2 more examples. So starting at 0, we're going to combine 5 and a -4. Starting at 0, I have to find 5. This is a positive 5, right? So the positive tells me to move right, and I'm going to move right 5 steps. Don't forget what you already know, 6th graders, right? Now I'm adding a -4. The negative in front of the 4 tells me to turn to the left and take 4 steps in the negative direction. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Where do I end up? I end up at positive 1. We have one more example to do with adding integers. So -7 plus a -5. I'm starting at 0. I have to find -7. So the negative tells me to move in the negative direction, and I have to take 7 steps. So -7 brings me to right there. Now I'm adding a -5. This -5 tells me to continue to move, or this negative, tells me to continue to move in the negative direction. And I'm going to take 5 steps. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Where do I end up? I end up at -12. So hopefully you can see how number lines are really helpful when we're adding integers, and I think you'll find them really helpful when we subtract integers. But with that said, I don't want you to forget to just look at your answer and see if it makes sense. So our last problem here was -7 plus -5. Let's say Mrs. Kluber owes you $7. Then you lend her $5 more. So she owes you another $5. Would it make sense for this to be a positive number? No, Miss Kluber's gonna owe you some money. So make sure you just take a moment to think about the answer that you're getting, 6th graders.